Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and this is episode 421. I am joined, as always, by my co-host Stacy. That is at StacyPen89 on Twitter. Stacy, how are you doing?
Tired and wet, just like your mother, but commuting is not fun.
Yeah, well, it's good that you got that in there because I was definitely going to make a joke. So good job with the preemptive strike there. We are joined. You may have heard his voice. We are joined not for the first time, but the first time in a long time. His name is Tyrese London. That is at London's Theory on Twitter. Tyrese, how are you doing all the way down in Texas?
Doing good. We just signed Malachi Flynn today, so I'm having great time. Yeah. Me, Wemby, and RC Buford, and Greg Popovich.
Isn't there Brian Wright is the GM now, pal? All right, so put some respect on his name.
Been in and out of the office. My bad.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. All right. Well, we're gonna talk not about Wemby. Talk about the Knicks. We'll talk about basketball. But before we talk about any of those things, I do have to make a few announcements. First being that the Strickland has an Instagram. Check that out. That is at the Strickland on Instagram. We are posting all kinds of new content on there. The Strickland also has a YouTube channel where you maybe watch this podcast. If you are not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.strick.land. There's a link that'll take you to the merchandise store, and you can find all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it. We've got it. The Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Pod Strickland's podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes from Obvious Bozos, our news podcast that is hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Blatter, and you get access to the Strickland Discord where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, my solo pod where I rant and rave with things even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Murno, one of the best in the business. And you get access to Strictly NFL, which, you guessed it, is our podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tier. This comes with a variety of additional benefits, like listening to our pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially go listening to a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. And this would be possible without you. And none of this would be possible without BetOnline. BetOnline is number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads of the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. BetOnline. The game starts here. All right. Well, look, I guess we can mention this. I don't think it's a big deal. Jalen Brunson was officially named the captain of the Knicks. There's apparently going to be some type of event that they broadcast this about tomorrow at 2 p.m. or something on MSG. Yeah. Anybody, do you guys care about this?
I care deeply about this. I think it's a great course correction from the legacy that Lance Thomas left us, who was our previous captain. So I feel that the Knicks have righted a very, very wrong, and hopefully this gives us the opportunity to parlay his captainship into much more sustained success for this team.
Yes. I do not. I am happy for any.
Who were the captains last year?
There were no captains. We haven't had a captain since Lance Thomas.
I kind of like that. That's the Tibbs thing, right?
You like not having a captain, or you like that we have a captain now? And
it clearly seems to have worked. Not having a captain. Tibbs is look at me. Tibbs is the captain now.
Okay. All right. Tibbs, he's a lot of things. I don't know if he's an on-court captain. I don't know. I don't think this matters. It's cool. If it makes him happy, that's fine. I'm a little unsure why they made this like a huge fucking announcement. So we'll see what they do with that.
Because he signed that extension.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I don't know. Just so weird. But I guess, yeah, I mean, this will be the first time he talks we'll see. It's probably not with the media. It's going to be like a bunch of season ticket holders or some shit.
And Monica McNutt.
Yeah. Maybe Rebecca Harlow if Monica's busy. So whatever. We'll see what he does with that. All right. Moving on to things that may actually matter in the grand scheme of things. The Knicks have not yet extended Julius Randle, who became extension eligible, I believe, on August 5th. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Third. Okay. And he has not been extended. I mean, look, all the reporting from Tyrese's good buddy Ian Begley has been that he doesn't think that they're going to come to an extension, and that they're both the Knicks themselves and Julius Randle are both comfortable going into the season with that kind of uncertainty hanging there. I think there's valid reasons for why the Knicks would not want to extend him immediately, and I think there are reasons why, if they were to extend him, they'd only want to do it at a price, at which point for Julius Randle it would make no sense. So it's not that crazy to me that it's kind of landed on maybe potentially no extension for Julius Randle. He does have a player option for 2025-26. Depending on how the season goes, maybe he's more inclined to pick that up, maybe less inclined. We won't know until we know. And obviously, there's always the potential that he could agree to an extension now, later, whenever. He's extension eligible through the season. So he could sign an extension in fucking July if he wanted to. January if he wanted to. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't know. I think that this is a reasonable... I mean, me and Stacy talked about this probably a month ago pretty extensively, but if they have landed on, and we'll see, like right now he's in China doing some shit for Skechers, so maybe they don't want to announce it until he gets back. If I have no clue. There's really been no reporting on anything really aside from what Begley has put out there. So maybe they've already touched base. I'm sure they've already touched base this offseason, and if Randall wants X and the Knicks want to give him Y, and that difference is significant, then playing it out is not that crazy. And honestly, like if I'm the Knicks, if there's no trade that I can make that I feel good about in terms of the talent it returns, and does that leave the Knicks as a contending team, a competitive team still? If you trade out Julius, if there's no offer like that out there, then I kind of think you just have to roll with this as is. And if that the difference between what the Knicks would want to offer him and what Julius might want, I mean, a lot of that I'm sure is just based on, one, we want to see you with this group, this year's team, the roster we've spent most of our capital to assemble, and two, like, hey, there might have been mitigating circumstances the last couple of times we've been to the playoffs, but regardless of that, you've played poorly, and we need to see that reverse itself if we're going to hand you a 3 or 4 year lucrative contract, locking you in to the Knicks, into your mid 30s. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it means that he's 100% gone or that he's 100% staying or whatever. I think it's just reasonable to keep your options open.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things. One, I'll ask you this. Do you think it's so much that Julius makes them less than the sum of their parts, or that he's actively detrimental? I do think there's a distinction there.
It's more the former than the latter, but
we're talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's arguably the latter, but I don't actually know, because look, the first year that we got into the playoffs with him, he failed. He was terrible. I understand that there was nobody else on the team that could create a shot. End of the day, you need your guy to be better than he was, and he wasn't. So he's got to own that. Last year, I have a little bit more sympathy for him. Like, he was clearly hurt, and then every time it looked like he kind of got his legs under him and he was returning to form, he'd get hurt again. people forget, like in game 2, Jared Allen almost like undercut him at the very end of that game. And then obviously he gets hurt in game 5. And I mean, he was, if you go back and watch that, he was absolutely fucking destroying the Cavs to start that game. But he gets hurt then, and then he had a good game 2 against Miami, but then the rest of that series he was terrible. You can argue that he was detrimental to the team in that playoffs, and that's not unreasonable. But basically everybody other than Brunson sucked. And I know that RJ had a decent playoffs, but like at least in terms of his kind of plus minus swings, like his net rating stuff, he was the most destructive player in the rotation, even though on the surface it looked like he was playing much better. I don't think that's all on him. But the point is, like, basically it was just Brunson. That was it. Like, when he was on the floor, the Knicks were functional and very good, actually. When he was off the floor in that playoffs, they were terrible. That also kind of played out this year in the playoffs, though it was very, very different for a variety of reasons. And he clearly got more help from supporting pieces in the playoffs this year than he did in 2023. But like, to answer your question, I don't know. I think you would look at his numbers and say it's 2, but I don't think that's set in stone. And again, like I would like to get to the playoffs and have him be healthy, relatively healthy, with this current roster and see what that looks like. Because I thought he was playing the best ball when he got hurt this past season, when he hurt his shoulder, the best ball of his career. And I think that doesn't mean that it would have sustained, but it was the best team, right? I mean, it was like the best situation that he's ever been in, and they were destroying teams for that month that we got to see it. But that's not enough to commit to, maybe a max extension for him. I also don't know that I know I would not be comfortable just trading him for like a couple of good role players or something. Like, I think you can't ask Brunson to be the sole guy who can create and command attention and, and not just create his own shot, because I think Mikal Bridges, although he failed as a number 1 in Brooklyn, I think he can create to a certain level, but he's not going to be creating for others. And Randle, for better or worse, whatever his flaws, I mean, he was diming up guys for threes last year, probably at the highest clip of his career. I forget the exact numbers. But I mean, he was really, really good at that. And that was, we saw a huge drop off in Jalen Brunson's 3-point shooting after Randle got hurt. So there's just there's so many variables to consider that I don't know. But to answer your question, I would say I would lean that he was more of an active detriment, but I don't think that's set in stone.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has the context to change his perception, especially in the playoffs, and this would be the team to do it. It really just comes down to how he will be able to perform within the context of this team. I don't think it's the best context he could have had. I think last year's starting lineup might be a little bit better for him, but like obviously it's still a lot better than, let's say, 95% of the league. So
yeah, I mean, the good thing for him, the one advantage he has this year is that he doesn't have to worry about Isaiah Hartenstein stabbing him in the back. So that should help him.
Yeah, he can be the Isaiah Hartenstein that was promised. There's gonna be a black guy in that post somehow. Damn it.
Yeah, Mitch will not be in the post, but we'll figure it out.
No, he'll be in the post against like the Hornets. Like, I look forward to the random Mitch game where he decides to bust out an in and out dribble, and I will be there. No matter what.
I like when Mitch seals his man, but then he can't. Then he asks for the ball, but he can't hold his position. That's always one of my favorites. So yeah, Stacy.
Yeah, on Julius, I my views are that I would I think it's very fair to say, he hasn't had the best playoff impact. I think that where it's going, I think his value on the league is the biggest thing, right? Because how will people value him, right? If he turns us down, and what will his trade value be if we extend him and then it doesn't work out? If you found out the answer is no, he is. Can you guys think of other players like this? Who like DeRozan comes to mind as a guy who was like really productive on a good team. Does he move the needle for winning a championship despite great stats and all of that? And I will say Randle is more efficient than DeRozan ever was. He's a better rebounder and all that.
I would not say he's more efficient.
I wouldn't say he's more efficient.
No,
but he's-
not now. But if you look at Toronto, wasn't DeRozan like 54, 55 true shooting? So I'm talking about Toronto DeRozan. Sorry. Now he's more of an Adrian Dantley type. But the point I'm making is, how is he valued around the league? And it's tough because there haven't been a lot of these players who are like, and it's tough to say because can you say Randall drives winning? You have to. His second option was Elfrid Payton 1 year, and we had the 4th seed. But is there a winning team that would want him? Is there a rebuilding team that would want him? That's where it gets tough.
Well, it's not just. I'm pretty confident in saying, if the Knicks were just like, we just need to trade Julius Randle, there would be teams that have interest.
Yeah, but would you get a quarter on the dollar? Would you get 50 cents on the dollar?
That's the thing. It's like,
and is it worth it at that point, right?
Inherently, he still has more. He is more valuable to the Knicks than he is to any other team because the Knicks need a second option that can create, and they don't really have access to one anymore via trade unless they start dealing players, which obviously they don't want to do. But like, so for the Knicks, they value him for that reason. But the rest of the league, even if they value what he brings to the table, I don't know that anybody's like willing to give up close to it. Like if you're talking about getting value for him, like I don't know how close to 100% on the dollar you would get for Julius Randle because the playoff thing is real. Like, we can sit here and debate why or what happened and whose fault it was and injuries and whatever, but like, you don't know. And he's 29.
Yeah.
Like he's at a point in his career where if you don't know that yet, it's pretty risky. Like there are not a lot of guys who have no track record of positive playoff play at this stage of their career, yet you're not entirely sure like that the book is closed on him. I don't know. With DeRozan, I actually think it's funny the way his like reputation has changed in his time in Chicago, because to me, I'm just like, he's the same exact player. Like he can do a lot of stuff in the regular season, but as soon as I need to win a basketball game that matters in the playoffs, I don't trust him. And he's never shown himself to be trustworthy in the playoffs. And he had a much longer track record at the same point in his career as Julius. Like he had a much longer track record of failing in the playoffs and not be and really dropping off, like his efficiency and everything. So I don't know. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head that I'm like, oh, Julius, like that's a good. I mean, he's very unique.
DeRozan seems like the closest one though, right? Because it's also got great stats, was on winning teams, right? I think Julius is a better rebounder. And to your point, Tyrese, I wasn't trying to the San Antonio and now he's a way better passer than he was. So that matters for sure. He's probably a better passer than Julius now, but that's what comes to mind in terms of you can't live with him, can't live without him kind of thing. Which
I think they can live without Julius, but like we just did this. Like we just did this year, where yes, the Knicks,
it was fucking hard, and they killed everybody on the team.
It's I think more than
including Brunson, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think
how many more years of that does he have left is a fair question. I think.
I mean, I think the reality is like you just can't ask Brunson to be. Again, if you could get like, I don't know, a more defensive oriented four to replace Randle, who could still kind of like do a little bit of shot creation and all that stuff that you can run offense through at times, that would be worth considering.
Yeah, it'd be OG with like a midi pull up. That's like efficient.
And who could like pass like
Yeah.
that, like that's, but they don't have that, and I don't even know who the fuck that player would be aside from this version of OG that we're hypothesizing about. And without that, I just like I don't know what you do, and that's kind of why I think this is a totally reasonable place to end up for them, where it's like, all right, well, we value you, but if you want your max extension, then you're going to have to show us that you're worth the max extension. And look, next summer, he becomes eligible for more than the max extension that would be on the table for him right now. If he plays great next year and then he goes to the playoffs and all of a sudden he's playing solid ball in the playoffs, I think the Knicks would probably
But can you wait that long, though? That's the thing. Like,
I mean, you have to. What are you going to do?
Trade him now, right? That would be the alternative. Or
Well,
trade him
with the trade. They don't have salary to trade him now unless you want to trade like other role players, and that's not happening.
And you're just not. What do you like? Just think about what's available on the trade market right now. Markkanen just extended. He's not going. He can't go anywhere, even if he wanted to go anywhere now. Brandon Ingram is like the biggest name after that,
and he's worse.
Well, I mean, the idea would be you trade him for multiple role players, right? Maybe there's
you can't do
Şengün plus in Houston.
You're
right?
not
getting Şengün. You'll maybe get Jabari. Maybe
you would get like you could maybe get like Jabari and
I love how
Tari.
there's like. I do want to talk about at some point Tyrese's heel turn on Randle because I think it's fascinating.
You're not. You would like. Houston is not going to give you Şengün for him. They might give you Jabari and like Tyrese. They might do that.
Could you get from Charlotte Mark Williams and picks and
no?
You're not getting LaMelo. I don't know who else they have because Charlotte.
I don't like the person they would trade. I do not want them on the team. So yeah.
So like what happens? I guess what happens if he stinks it up again in the playoffs, or if it isn't viable? So I think there's two questions here. One, is there enough to believe he can be good in the playoffs? Two, if they did trade, let's say they traded for him for straight role players, even if they got a guy, this isn't going to happen. But even if the best player they got in their trade was Jaden McDaniels and no other creators,
no, I would. That trade does nothing for me.
What I'm asking. Dude, Tyrese has become such with the last time I did
McDaniels?
The last time I did a pod with Tyrese, it was me and Shwin shitting on Randle and talking about why Obi Toppin needs to start, and Tyrese eventually being vindicated defending Randle.
And now
how the turns have tabled. Which I do want to get your thoughts on, Tyrese. But what I would say is, let's say they went full role player. That's kind of what they're doing a little bit, right? They had the choice. Do you think you need a second creator? I'm not saying it was a direct choice because it was a couple years apart. They gave up more from Mikal Bridges, right? You can, talk about some of the prospects that were in the trade in terms of Quickly or Grimes, quote unquote untouchable Grimes, which I know Shwin is a big fan of that labeling. The fact is they gave up that level for a guy who isn't Donovan Mitchell. He is not that good of a creator. He probably fits a little bit better next to Brunson to facilitate what Brunson does. And he's good enough as a creator, maybe, to approximate that second guy if you have other second guys. And if you also have OG who showed some of that. You have Dante. So I think a big question is that with Randle, one, is there a reason to believe he can get over the playoff ghosts? And two, ghost is the wrong word, just the struggles he's had, which some of them are just basketball related, some of them might be different. And the other part is, maybe this is the best question to ask. If we got rid of Randle, could we do second playmaker by committee? Could we do second option by committee with Dante? You do think they need another guy?
Boston probably had the best version of this thing that you're describing of not quite.
And Jalen Brown would be better.
But Jalen Brown is a shot creator. He can create offense. And Drew Holiday, while a very flawed number 2 option, if he's your third or your fourth option on any given night, that matters. Derek White being your fourth or fifth option.
What I'm asking is, could the same apply to Mikal and Dante and
No, but you still have Tatum and Brown.
You still
That's
have
why
that. You have the Jalen Brown gap.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the Jalen Brown gap is not gonna be made up by like Deuce McBride being like an elite mini pull-up shooter, which is kind of the dilemma. It's like,
But have we not seen teams try that?
I think the Warriors got away with doing it in 22.
And they got away with it because Steph
Curry is.
Yeah,
I think they've done it their
back.
whole. I think they've done it. They've gotten away with it the entire non-Durant years.
I don't think it's.
I don't. I think Draymond is overrated as a playmaker.
Yeah,
but
but like
probably...
but they won in 2015. In its like the league is just so different. It's way more talented. It's way more offensively like if that Golden State Warriors team in 2015, if you dropped them into the league tomorrow, they would be like a fucking average offense at best. Like they wouldn't even be like an elite offense.
Oh,
that could be a takes from obvious boys candidate right
it's
there.
It's not. I'm just
looking
at the
saying
numbers.
you're an obvious.
Okay, if you like extrapolate
that is a controversial take.
2015 to 2024 basketball, then like I don't know if I can get there. I don't know if
I think they also would have taken more threes and done more stuff.
Yeah, I feel like they probably would have just taken more threes. Plus it would be like Pete Clay.
Their offensive rating that year was 111.6. They weren't even the best offense in the league that year.
They were also a product of the environment. I don't want my environment to be a product of me. I want,
but the fundamental reality is they had nobody else that could create a shot. So like, there's just going to be a limitation.
And they won another one where no one else could either.
Yeah, like Jordan Poole was their second best creator was Jordan Poole.
Right, but you're using. I don't even know what is the argument here. What are we talking?
Like,
about?
I think the argument is
can you do second creator by committee? That's my argument.
Especially if you have like a supernova number one, which I think Brunson would qualify as.
You don't have. No, we can't do it. Like it's just. I don't
we have a lot, but like we have so many good guys who can play a second.
I think
the fucking Celtics are better than any team that Warriors roster had to face. And they're in your conference. They're in your division.
Are they?
Yes.
Are they better than LeBron Cavs at full? Okay, they weren't at full health. So I think at full health.
And yes, they are.
LeBron...
And yes, they are. They are. Like they just. I understand the competition they faced sucked.
LeBron is better than anyone on the Celtics.
They didn't just beat these.
Kyrie
teams.
is probably on that team. Probably
no,
better
he's
than the
not. No, he's not.
He's not better than Tatum.
2016 Kyrie?
No.
2015 Kyrie was pretty good.
Dude, they would the Celtics. I understand like we need to shit on the Celtics, and that's cool. They were the best team in basketball by fucking margin last year.
But
like
they
had the best offense in the playoffs. They had the best defense in the playoffs. They had, I think, the best offense in the regular season. And I'm pretty sure they had the best defense regular season. They won what did they win? 67 games. They win fucking 16-3 in the playoffs. Like. Yeah, dude, they're better than whoever the fuck was in the league in 2014-15. And that's not because Tatum is as good as LeBron or if you want to say fucking Kyrie's, but fine, cool, you can have it. I'm sorry, go look at the fucking Celtics roster. Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford. That is like, look at the fucking depth on those Cavs teams. Matthew Dellavedova is getting serious minutes. That guy he's like worse than Peyton Pritchard, who is the Celtics' 8th guy. This is not a conversation. Like, you're not winning a championship in 2025, this upcoming season, running the Jalen Brunson save us offense. Like, that's just ridiculous. You're not doing it. The league is so much more advanced now. You have way more, like, you need to score at such a high clip. And asking one guy the entire year to be like, okay, let's do it, like do the heliocentric offense thing, like it's just not going to work. Okay. And like, you bring up Steph, the one thing that would make that so different is like the very nature of what the Warriors offense was in 2022 is fucking like the opposite of what we know Tibbs is going to do.
Brunson is capable of a lot of that. If you have,
but you're not
getting from Mitchell Robinson. That's what the Hardenstein thing is partly, right? Because
but it's also just
like Draymond on TV, right?
But it doesn't matter if you can. You are not going to. He did a lot of stuff that was really, really creative for Tibbs, but even within giving him the deserved credit he deserves, he deserves for that. The Knicks were like 22nd in assist percentage. They were not like a high so ultimately at the end of the day, most of the burden of creating offense still came down to Jalen Brunson save us.
But it was also the third best offense in the playoffs.
It was. And then
they also have
but it also affected
against
their
the worst
defense.
defense in the playoff. One of those series was
it
against
also
worst
affected,
defense.
but it affected their defense. It obviously affected their defense when, like, I don't know. To me, I just think it's crazy.
Wait, can you expand on? Do you think like their offense? Can you expand on that? Was there a correlation?
No, I just think that they were like you were asking so much of these guys.
Oh, I see. So it's more an energy expenditure thing than pace.
Yeah, like their defense by the end of the regular season was garbage.
Yeah, I mean, like it was like Josh Hart played 40 minutes and Dante
Yeah.
played like 38. So like they basically were not. They're like, okay, we're just gonna shoot a bunch of threes and like not give anything defensively. But I think my counter to that would probably be okay, but now they have more like their depth isn't injury riddled. At least starting to begin the season. What happened?
Yeah, I'm sure Gugu is going to be good to go for the
adding Mikal matters, right? Like,
yeah, I think adding Mikal matters.
So many. I get that where you're saying that if you don't have a second guy, we have so many guys.
We have so many shot makers. Like,
how many of them can run a fucking pick and roll and draw two to the ball?
A bunch of them.
A bunch of them.
Who? Name them.
Dante can run a pick and roll.
I want you to tell me which of these guys you would say is a not forget high level, a good pick and roll creator, not just he can hit a midi pull up in the mid range. I'm talking about
that matters.
Who?
Hitting a pick and roll, hitting a midi pull up out of the pick and roll matters.
Yeah, you know what else matters? Getting Jalen Brunson easy shots. Nobody on this fucking team is getting Jalen Brunson easy shot, except maybe in the off chance when Mitchell Robinson not only gets an offensive rebound, but doesn't fumble it and throws it out to Jalen Brunson. The fucking 4 times a year.
Aren't they all doing that with the gravity though? That matters.
Like that's my take would basically be like, yes, we don't.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. Jalen Brunson was hitting so many catch and shoot threes after Julius Randle went down. You're right.
He wasn't hitting catch and shoot threes, but like offensively,
he wasn't even getting the fucking opportunities. Yes, the offense was fine because Jalen Brunson was like, okay, I guess I'll just do everything.
Jalen Brunson is fine, and they surrounded him with nothing but like 40% shooters.
Yes, and then you also had a center who could actually, do shit with the ball.
Okay, so you're telling me that like they basically need more from the center position.
Yeah, but that's
like you're basically telling me they basically essentially need like playmaking from the center position. Like they need
playmaking. If you can find me who that guy is, I'm all ears.
Precious Achua, but we'll talk about that in a second. I'm not saying that ironically. I think if you look at how much we talk about Miles McBride's growth, which I will always do. The fact that Precious went from like not knowing how to play basketball to like a solid center, everyone is biased by how awful he looked at the 4. The fact that he did that in like 4 months and was like legit good against Joel Embiid and Mouse Turner in the playoffs, that matters. And he's still 24. But I do think it's important to bring up. So just to highlight how ridiculous Brunson was, he averaged 10.6 possessions per game in pick and roll as a ball handler, which was 4th most in the league. And he averaged 1.05 possessions points per possession. The only people who averaged more than him were Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, Cade Cunningham. None of them were over 1 point per possession. The guy below him was a former teammate who was just ahead at 1.07. That's Luka Doncic. So he is doing what Luka Doncic does. But Shwin's point was, that's great, but what did the other guys do? DiVincenzo only had 1.7 possessions per game, 0.95 points per possession. That's 74th percentile. Obviously, the volume is lower, but
just a little bit, slightly.
Well, it's lower than the top guys in the league. It's still, he had role player volume with role player efficiency. And the question we're asking is,
he's not even going to start.
But if you have 5 guys with role player volume and role player efficiency, can you recreate Randle in the aggregate, right?
Yes.
Randle, maybe Giambi. McBride was insane in the playoffs. I know that. But even in the regular season, 0.9 points per possession, a lot of that was the beginning when he was just thrown into the post quickly trade minutes. 1.5 possessions a game, 0.9 points per possession. Same as Trae Young, by the way. Who else? Bridges, right? Bridges. So he sucked, but he was doing 4.6 possessions per game, 0.85 points per possessions. Even probably being overextended, he was still 50th percentile in points per possession.
None of these guys has the gravity to run this stuff at a volume that matters.
I just don't. I think I don't think this is an answerable question, but it is fascinating to me because we have so many guys that are kind of good at it, and I do think that your points are right, Shwin. I do think you're being a little bit dismissive about the idea that it could work. OG Anunoby sucked, by the way, in pick and roll, so that
big surprise.
no, but he was better in New York. In New York, he was at 0.84 points per possession, which was
how many possessions was that? Like fucking
1.1 per game. 1.1 per game.
So one
that
possession
one pick and roll. That one
but that's
pick and
the
roll
point.
Can be the difference.
Can you recreate him in the aggregate? We don't we're not going to settle this because we don't have good data for this, and we just added Bridges. But that's such a fascinating question to me. It's a useless question, but
I think where I fall in is Dante, what can you do in order to be in lieu of creation? And this is something that I've talked about with Shwin for a little bit in Discord, where he just ends up yelling at me.
I never do that.
Sure. Major League 2 sucks. But
so does your mom.
Okay. But
your mother's an astronaut. How about that? The best Wesley Snipes sports movie.
Okay, but I specifically talked about it with Dante, where I was like, Dante last year was an elite pull-up shooter who was able to run pick and roll, not to the level of a star, but competently, and he can take and make any three that you give him. So I was like, okay. And again, we had a sample size of him being a second option for I want to say 50 games or so. And I think in the aggregate, in the regular season, he was 21 points per game on 56 true shooting. And mind you, that was with him not getting to the line at all. So he gives you a solid option, and then they just added McCall, who is McCall a number one option? No, but I don't worry about McCall as a shot maker. I think McCall shoots 40, it's 50% on 2-point jumpers. So obviously elite.
He'll shoot better in New York.
Yeah, he will probably end up being fucking Chris Paul light.
He'll probably have the best season of his career next year.
I believe so too. So it's okay, if you believe in the context and you believe in the Knicks being able to kind of map out his shot chart a little bit better, which I think the Knicks, I think that goes underrated in Knicks discussions, where it's when you come to the Knicks, they're going to optimize you in the best way possible. They did it with OG.
Well, what about Cam Reddish?
Okay, well, Cam Reddish is
a fucking shitter.
Yeah,
but that's a great point, Tyrese.
Yeah, but I think people don't realize the Knicks maximize every guy they get, and I think with McCall especially, it's hey, you're gonna be playing next to a top 10 engine, and you can at the very least
buddy. 5. Come on.
Okay, top 5. I'll get there. I'll get there middle next year. Right now, I'm trying to be realistic, but what I would say is McCall can get to the line at a very good clip. He can, I think he shot 34% on pull-up threes. It was on low volume, but he shot 34% on pull-up threes. We obviously know he's really good in the corners. He's really good above the break. He improved above the break specifically, going from Phoenix to Brooklyn, which is something I'm looking forward to him doing next year. I want to see how many above the break threes he takes. But he can shoot from 3, he can pull up from 2, he can get to the line, he converts to the line at a very high clip. So I think they have shot making, and I feel when you have as much shot making as the Knicks do, I think the Knicks have 1 to 9 the most shot making in the league. Because when your 9th guy is Deuce McBride, who shoots 47% on 2-point pull-up jumpers, that's an insane number. And again, I think
even Cam is their 11th or 10th guy. He's I
don't
want to praise campaign, but he's that's a good 10th guy.
Yeah, he's I don't have the numbers for me for Cam Reddish. Not campaign fucking mid-range numbers, but he shoots upper 40s. So the Knicks really love their mid-range jumpers, and they're really good at mid-range jumpers, and you just got a bunch of guys who are good at mid-range jumpers. OG's good at mid-range jumpers. He shot I think it was mid-40s as well. So it's you have a bunch of guys who can take and make mid-range jumpers. You have a bunch of guys who can pull-up shoot. Deuce is a good pull-up shooter. Dante's an elite pull-up shooter, which is low volume but elite percentage-wise. Obviously Brunson. So I think they have enough shot making to where it's well, yeah, you can't create good looks, but those guys were able to do stuff off the dribble in the playoffs when we saw it. So
I think the question that Shun was getting at a little bit, or I think the open question, at least on this whole discussion, is what does the offense look like if it's still Brunson, right? Like my answer, for example, I laid out the stats, but do I think DiVincenzo is tough in pick and roll? Yes, because unless you got Drew Holiday or Alex Caruso getting over that screen, your big better not be in a drop. Can we agree on that?
Imagine if we have to play a team that has Drew Holiday on it.
That's not very nice, Shwin. But the point is, like,
but that's the point. Like, this is the point. You can't, like, that's the competition. So you have to have a team. If you're gonna do this whole egalitarian fucking kumbaya fucking offense thing,
when I made the case for playing Randle the 5, you were like, well, we shouldn't gear our team towards Boston. So I don't know.
No, you shouldn't gear to. I'm not gearing the team towards Boston. I'm saying you have to account for that. So if your argument is like, well, unless you're playing a team that has Drew Holiday, well, guess what? We're going to be playing a team that has Drew Holiday at some point.
Derek White. So
yeah, so like that's the reality. And
but that's another viable pick and roll.
And can we just be real? Let's just be real about this. Let's say we trade Randle for. Let's just do this. Let's just say, obviously this will never happen, but let's just say midway through the season, Oklahoma City's like, this fucking Hartenstein guy sucks. We want off of him, and we trade Julius for Hartenstein, right? So now you're off. Your lineup is, it can be Brunson.
Who's your dealer, bro?
Let me play this out. So Brunson, DiVincenzo, Mikal, OG, Hartenstein. That would be the starting 5, right? Do we all agree with that?
Last year's playoff team plus
Mikal.
Right? Correct? We're good with that? That makes sense? Okay. Yeah. Go position by position against Boston and tell me, other than point guard, where you think we have an advantage.
I think the advantage would be in the fact that the Knicks have guys like Josh Hart, Deuce McBride coming with the bench of Precious Achiuwa, and ideally you can switch everything in that lineup. So,
okay, I think Bridges over
Dirk White would be tough. Lineup?
I mean, he switches everything. Like Tibbs was switching with like.
He never switches with. He rarely switches with center. That's not a switch everything lineup.
Okay,
and they definitely do not switch anywhere near the top.
Okay, I'm saying with Precious, he probably will switch more.
He might. I thought he would do that.
He did.
Year. No, he did. But then at times he did. At times he was like, Precious, work on your drop coverage.
You want to switch McBride on the big, is what you're saying. Which I actually I agree with Tyrese. He does switch McBride on bigs a lot. McBride is a tough motherfucker.
Yeah, he's stocky.
What happened when we played the Pacers? How did that work out for us when we started switching everything and Pascal Siakam fucking made us look like his?
Okay, but now you have
that was more Hart though, and Hart was hurt. Yeah, that Hart was hurt. I don't know if that's.
And they almost went on 3-0 in this series.
Wait, hold on. Josh Hart was not hurt at the start of this series.
Okay.
Yeah, but the last 2 games was when it.
Okay, but I'm not talking about the last 2. Pascal destroyed us before.
They didn't switch much the first 4 games though. The first 4 games they were keeping OG on him.
I think this is. I think you guys are totally exaggerating.
And I will say, like, if you're gonna take something away from a Pacers series, it'll be that 5 out is a big problem for this team. That would have we probably go 7 against them even if we were healthy.
It is a big problem because
I don't think they go 7.
And he doesn't want to switch that often. And this is a good reason to, because Jalen Brunson is not. He has limitations, very very real limitations. So you cannot just switch everything with Jalen Brunson because he's not Drew Holiday. He's not Derek White. He's not those.
So you're
guys.
saying you have to outscore these teams, and to do that you need a second creator.
Yes, and I also think that if you're going to do this egalitarian thing, I'm sorry, you're just going to be a worse version of what the Celtics have available to them. You just are.
So here's a couple of. So you said if you do position for position, which I don't think is the best way to do this, but I don't think
it's just a very simplistic way of doing it.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think it's crazy to think that by mid next season, Mikal Bridges will be valued higher than Derek White. I know how great Derek White is. He's been awesome. Mikal Bridges is that good when he's fully engaged. So we've seen it.
I don't even disagree with that. But my point is if this is what you're arguing, this is not an argument to me to move off of Julius Randle. This is an argument for we should probably use Randle at the 5 some.
Because that is my ideal scenario. If
you're gonna need to if you need to match firepower with the Celtics, which you do, like you need as much offensive talent and creation as you can get on the floor because Dallas has they have obviously Luka Doncic, who is a top 3-5 player, however the fuck you want to put it. One of the
Tim
best
Hardaway Jr. was the other guy.
Yes, Tim Hardaway Jr., huge player. No, but Luka's one of the best offensive engines in the league, right? At bare minimum, you would say he's
Number 2
on the level. Like even if you're the most bullish Brunson person ever, you're gonna say they're at the same level, right? Whatever. And I think that I would assume that if you think they're on the same level, that's very much a minority opinion, whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah, I mean the bigger question is he on Jokic's level? But
yes. Kyrie is a better shot creator than anybody on the Knicks,
including Randle.
Yeah, including Randle. So that team went to the finals, and obviously their supporting cast, which they improved last season, would still not be as good as the supporting cast of the Knicks in this scenario. But the fucking Celtics had them in hell. Like they could not. They had one good game, right?
But
They
is that
scored
more
really
defense or is that offense?
I think it was just the fact that PJ Washington came back down to earth.
But that's
not going to swing a series, dude.
And also like a guy like PJ Washington. Yes, if you want to say obviously OG is better than him, Mikal Bridges is better than him, whatever. But him coming back down to earth offensively had to do with he just started missing some threes, right? Like he cooled down from 3. That's when you don't have guys that can create, you're always very, very susceptible to swings in 3-point.
But the
shooting.
whole point is that those guys, the Knicks can create shots for themselves. That's the point.
Just good enough. And that's Shwin. Can you think of a team with as many secondary shot creators as the Knicks and an alpha?
No, that's like the whole thing. Like, okay. I mean, even with
Jalen Brown isn't that though. That's kind of the thing. But they also don't
Derek
have
White is, Drew Holiday is right.
But they also the Knicks have more. The Knicks have guys coming off the bench doing that, right? Like they have 4 guys in the starting lineup right now.
Have, as far as I'm concerned, they have 1.5 guys off the bench that can do that.
Who?
Deuce and
Dante and Deuce.
Well, Hart's coming off the bench.
All right. If we're gonna start,
you don't think he's coming off the bench?
No, I think he's coming off the bench.
Yeah, you don't think he can create a shot?
Yeah,
I disagree with that.
I do not think he's a shot. Like he's
I don't think he's he's a high variance shot creator, but the fact that he can get paint touches and the fact that he has a decent floater and the fact that he can take a mid-range jumper and it somehow goes in at the end of the shot clock all the fucking time.
And he's a good passer, yeah.
Yeah, he is
I don't think he's a good half-court passer, not off the dribble when he's trying to get into the
he makes some stupid ass.
Yes,
Did you see that? Did you see the video Shaq posted? Dude, some of those look like some fucking Eli. Oh, sorry.
And also
those look like some Kyle McCord passes. I got you. But
what do you think Josh Hart's true shooting percentage was in the playoffs last year?
Last year?
53?
It was 55.
55.2. What do you think his usage was?
26?
16.5.
That's good.
No, it's not.
That's fucking. Are you kidding me?
You know who that was good for?
Okay.
There was a guy who's in Toronto now who, he had 55.2 true shooting, everyone's like,
okay.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. I should rephrase that. For Josh Hart's role on this team next year, if you can give me 55 true shooting on 16 usage, I'm okay.
That would be what he's not, but he's not going to have that role off the bench. Is my point. You're talking about shot creation. Even if you want to say, okay, he's more capable of creating a shot and better at it than Peyton Pritchard. Great. Congratulations. Do you want a fucking cookie? That's not the bar. The bar isn't we need our 8th guy to be you need your top guys to match up with their top guys. Brunson can do that, obviously, and then some. But your other guys can Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, are they combined together? Is that better than Jalen Brown and Derek White? I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, again, I think the fact that the Knicks have so much
and also
I haven't seen it when I think about the Knicks in this context, I'm I have not seen a team with this much decent to above average shot creation, or rather shot making. I should say shot making, some shot creation, and that's what I've been trying to do. It's I'm not saying they create shots for other people like Julius Randle, but I am saying the fact that these guys can attack closeouts and like get to hotspots on the court which are efficient for them, and they don't need Jalen Brunson to create those shots for them. Rather, yet they can like dribble themselves and get to those shots. And I do think the Knicks have prioritized that in their team building. Like, hell, we saw with 2021 where it's like they drafted really good pull-up shooters, and it turns out, hey, they were really good pull-up shooters in the pros. So it does feel like there's an organizational attempt to like get guys who can attack closeouts and make shots for themselves. And I do think that like 4 years later, it doesn't surprise me that like if you go down the Knicks roster 1 to 9 and like even 10 to 11 in some cases, you're looking at guys who like can take a dribble, hit like a really high PPP midi pull up, and somehow, some way, like generate good offense for themselves.
And the gravity off of that, right? And
yes,
that slows down the closeouts. It opens up, the big closes out a little bit harder. What I will
the other
also
reality here is our center position. Like it's not good enough.
The other thing I would say in response to like getting back to the Boston question with Shwin, I think it does matter that. Look, I think Tatum probably caught too much flack for his playoffs performance. I do think we can argue there's a substantial difference between Brunson as the number one guy and Tatum.
There is.
Tatum gets to play 5 out. So if that's your argument, fine. Because if we lost Randle, that's not even an option, right? Unless you trade him for a stretch 5. But I do think like the Knicks are just a worse version of Boston is a little bit of an oversimplification, because I do think it matters that, they don't play the same position. I think we have the better primary. We would have the best player on the floor if we played Boston. And in that case, it behooves you maybe to look at kind of supporting more than you need another guy,
right? Here's the thing. As much as Tatum is nowhere near Jalen Brunson as an offensive engine, centerpiece, however the fuck you want to put it,
particularly
yes, even accounting for all of it, yes, not anywhere near as good as Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. Fine. They finished with 117.7 offensive rating in the playoffs. The Knicks had 118.7 offensive rating in the playoffs. That was the second best. Boston was third best. Boston also
missing 5,000 guys.
Yes. Well, right. And but you're arguing that one of those guys doesn't matter.
I was talking about OG. I'm talking about one of the guys on the team wasn't on the team last year.
Correct, but you're saying that Randle, if we get rid of Randle, like it's actually not that big.
I'm not saying that. I am very curious about. I'm curious intellectually about can this level of number 2 options, especially because we'd probably add someone else. Let's say you add McDaniels. Right, let's say you add
McDaniels cannot dribble or shoot or attack a
closer. I wouldn't add McDaniels. I'd probably look for like the perfect trade I would think of for Randle would be like Jared Allen and Dean Wade, but like that will never happen. But like I think if you're looking at somebody who can like do a little bit of like what the Knicks have in theory, damn, how did they?
Look, this is like
hell no.
I can get behind.
You don't
this
like
whole,
Keldon?
Keldon stinks.
I can get behind the whole recreate Randle in the aggregate thing, but if you're trading him, to Tyrese's point, it needs to be to get a 5 who makes your lineup make sense and is like a functional offensive player that adds.
If we could actually go 5 out, you'd be less worried about the second.
I think the 5 out thing is a little bit exaggerated in the sense of like it's way more important to be able to defend 5 out than it is to necessarily be a 5 out offense yourself. So like if you got Jared Allen, who is a similar caliber of center to Mitchell Robinson, that guy is actually good offensively in a way that Mitch isn't. And
is it fair to say that Mitch is probably better head to head against Jared Allen, but against most teams you'd prefer Jared Allen? That's probably the fair.
Like Mitch is a specialist. That's what he does.
Yeah, and also like very specifically, Mitch being at his best still hurts your offense. Like it does. Like you're just going to play teams that are going to be able to take advantage of the fact that Mitchell Robinson cannot do anything outside of the paint. And he's not even a good screen setter or a dribble handoff guy. So you don't even have that benefit from either, which is like what the benefit you got from Isaiah Hartenstein.
I think his offensive rebounding is that good that I disagree, but sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I'm never going to fucking accept that. I think it's bullshit.
I think Tyrese agrees with me though, right?
Yeah.
I think an offensive rebound is a very cool fucking weapon to have. If you're trying to argue with me that offensive rebounding makes Mitchell Robinson a plus offensive player to a high level, then you need a fucking lobotomy.
High
No,
level,
I think
high level
it
did a
makes
lot
sense.
of work there, though. He is a net positive on offense because of that offensive rebounding. And I agree with you for like 99.9% of players, that's not the case. In his case, he's that good.
It's just
And
like
especially the Knicks have the floater-based offense. Sorry, go ahead, Tyrese.
I think it's just like Mitchell Robinson being so good at offensive rebounding. I think within this context, just makes him have value. Like you'll never get it in true shooting. That's the problem with Mitchell Robinson.
His
Like
offensive rebounding does not exist in a vacuum. Him having to occupy one fucking space on the floor takes away from what other guys can do.
yes, but
You
it
wanna know why
also like
Julius-
it
hold on,
wins you.
hold on.
It
When
wins you
Brunson
games.
takes floaters.
What?
When Brunson takes floaters, Mitchell Robinson being a threat on the glass keeps that big back.
You cannot just talk to me about the value of 5 out and how Jason Tatum benefits from it, and now sit here and jerk off Mitchell Robinson.
I
I'm able to do a fucking
because
thing
there's different
outside of the
benefits
paint.
to both.
I would
There's
jerk off
there's
Mitchell Robinson if I
benefits.
want to. Damn it.
You can do that.
There's
you
different
can-
benefits to both, though. No,
Yes,
I can
but
talk
I'm
about the
not
benefits of both.
denying Mitchell
What I'm
Robinson
saying is to
has
say
value.
Mitch is a net negative on offense or is not.
I think you play
That's
the
where-
best teams.
yeah.
You play the best teams in the NBA. Mitchell Robinson not being able to fucking do anything outside of the paint, not being able to shoot free throws,
So now
not
you're
being able to
qualifying
fucking.
it with the best teams in the NBA, which
Well,
I
that's
agree.
the
like,
fucking
there's, like, 2 or 3
standard.
teams.
Okay,
There's,
but
That
two
like
or
is just
three
hold on,
teams.
hold on. That's the fucking standard. We're not talking about beating the fucking Hornets in
You said
February.
net.
Nobody gives a shit about
I think
that.
he's a net positive. If you're talking about 2 or 3 teams, Boston.
But that's
I don't
what
even-
matters.
He was a big positive against Philly, and they happen to have a
They're
decent
not
center.
one of the 2-3 best.
They happen to have a
teams
piece
in
of
the league.
shit
okay.
center who's
What
a player,
are you
but-
considering the 3 best teams in the league right now, though? Aside from the Knicks, aside from Boston,
OKC,
Oklahoma City.
OKC,
probably no.
no.
I'd probably say Minnesota.
Minnesota, he would fucking destroy them. Yes!
Minnesota!
He was not good against Minnesota last year when we played them, by the way. He hasn't actually been good against Minnesota in a couple years when we played them.
Is Rudy Bobby, or is it more?
I would have to. If I told
Yeah.
you I knew the reason behind it, I would be lying to you. But I know he has not fared well in that matchup. And he
It makes
very
sense with
specifically,
Pat, but I feel
but
like should
he
handle it.
very specifically is a liability against Boston. He is a massive liability against Boston,
So
and
is
that is the
Hartenstein.
team you need
So-
to beat. But we're not talking. Hartenstein's on the team, so who fucking cares if Hartenstein is or not? It doesn't matter what he is or
So
isn't.
then I think you need radical changes on the team then at that point, right?
You need a center who can be mobile while also being somebody who has value on offense in a way that's not just, oh, he's the best offensive rebounder in the league. Give me somebody who can run a fucking dribble handoff, who I can give the ball to when he has a mismatch and trust that he can actually get me a good shot. That if he gets fouled, I'm not sitting there praying on everything I fucking worship that he could hit 1 of 2 free throws.
So the reason I brought up Hartenstein is that if a guy who got $29 million a year this year was a liability against Boston, is there a guy out there who solves that problem for you? Or do you have to look at other team strategies to solve that? I do think there's a guy on the roster who I think there's like a 10% chance can do that. And no, it's not Jericho Sims. But I do want to ask that first question first.
One, I would say I don't actually know that Hartenstein. I think Hartenstein was definitely a liability against.
He got
Indiana.
fucking cooked when we played
He
Boston.
was when everybody
when
got
we played in the
cooked.
regular season. Like he
He
was
literally was on the floor when we destroyed them.
He was also on the floor in fucking Christmas and all those other times.
Christmas
and when we
destroyed
destroyed
them.
them,
Christmas when we had Precious Achua playing next to him
Christmas
at the
when they
floor.
cared about the game.
When
matters.
when we had Precious Achua playing at the floor next to him, and our defense was not even close to the biggest issue in that game.
We
is
can
the fact that we
agree to
couldn't
disagree on
fucking
it.
score.
So let's talk about two teams
And
who
it
played with
doesn't-
stretch
again,
fives.
Yes,
Miles
so you need
Turner
to get a
and Joel
5
Embiid.
who can. You need to get a 5 who can credibly defend 5 out. I do not care about.
But you don't
if
think
he's.
Isaiah Hartenstein is, right? To be clear, you don't think Isaiah Hartenstein is that guy.
I don't. He's definitely not a guy that you can like. He's not doing that for 30 minutes a game. You could probably put him in there for like 20
Precious
minutes.
That you would do it for like situational basketball.
I think he can do it for a lot more than
he could be do it. He could do it. But you need to be like, okay, he's gonna do something offensively here.
And I also think he can do that. But so like we're talking about against Miles Turner and Joel Embiid. Do you think Isaiah Hartenstein looked viable on
No.
defense. You're the one that's calling him a backstabber. Maybe
No.
I'm adding for
No,
the
I don't. I thought he was terrible in both those series. I also think that it's possible that he was just worn out because he had to do a lot for the last 3 months of the season.
I also just think those fives are very, very rare. That's why Bam is so valued. That's why Victor and fucking Chet are like considered future Hall of Famers already.
Right.
Like,
So this is the why I don't understand.
Can we fix it with? I don't think we can fix this problem with center. So then, if your next point is, well, then maybe we can fix it with Julius at the 5. Then I do agree with that.
Yeah,
but
that's
you
my
might
point.
need a different coach.
But the crux of this argument is you saying recreate Julius in the aggregate, and I'm telling you, recreating Julius in the aggregate doesn't fix that issue.
So would you say that's our biggest problem? Would you say
yes?
Not being able to defend 5 out is a bigger problem than having a second creator?
No, I think I don't even know how to parse those things. I think they're
equally important. We need to fix both problems.
I think that if you wanted to tell me that you'd rather fix the defending 5 out versus having a second shot creator, I could get there. But I cannot get to the point where
you trade the closest thing we have to a second shot creator.
Yeah,
and you don't.
You haven't even tried it. If you love OG and Mikal and all these fucking role players so much, then we should lean into the versatility they offer and not just punt on it because I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I don't actually understand the argument right now for trading Julius. The argument is that he's not under contract potentially after next season. That's the argument. But like, okay, if he wants to go somewhere, first of all, he's not going to go to Brooklyn. That's the only team that has significant cap space. The other
would be hilarious.
Yeah, the other team that would have significant cap space or could create significant cap space after next year would be Houston.
And he's not going to Houston.
He's not going to Houston. They're not going to. They have not been waiting and holding on to their powder and accumulating assets so that they can risk it all for Julius Randle. I'm sorry.
They have very clearly came out and said that yeah, we want Kevin Durant.
like that, or they want Devin Booker, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Julius Randle is not on the fucking radar there. If there's some other team that I can't think of, let's say the fucking Kings are like, we want Julius Randle.
The Hawks. I think the Hawks would probably be the team that would want Julius Randle the most.
Maybe. They have Jalen Johnson though.
That would be very ironic after they kind of exposed him.
Well, honestly, I don't even know because they have Jalen Johnson.
No, but the thing is, like, I think ideally it's like next to Trey, you'd probably want somebody like Julius Randle. But then it'd also be like, do you believe in like Reese Shea and Jalen Johnson being able to like space the floor enough for Julius Randle? I don't. So
do you think Reese Shea is going to be a bust?
I think he's just going to be like
Otto Porter.
Yeah, like he's just.
I don't know. I thought he looked good. I was actually surprised that he was as good as he was at Summer League.
Like he's gonna be I think with the things like with him is like he's gonna be a shooter, but I don't think he'll ever be a shooter who like gets enough up. Like he's gonna be. The way I'll put it is like at his best, he's like 6'8" Norm Powell.
Okay, why are we talking about Zachary Reese-Shea?
I don't know. I'll just say, like, in theory, I feel like I'm thinking about teams that might want Julius Randle. I do feel like a team.
What about San Antonio?
No.
Okay, you know what? If you want to do this aggregate fucking thing, the actual team that you should want to trade him, like then the trade that we mentioned for Houston, that's the one that you would make.
Yeah, it'd be like
because you can credibly argue that we saw enough to be optimistic that Jabari Smith eventually being able to be a 5-out type of center, or at least give you that option, is a thing. I think he's going to be able to shoot. I think his shooting was fine last year. I know that for some reason he thinks he's a bust. I don't really understand that. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be a pretty solid player, and I think he's going to be a pretty solid player for a long time. And then you can go get Tari Eason, and he gives you more depth on the wing and size.
You'd be wing you.
Yeah. If you want to argue that, fine, go for it. But like, I'm just not really like. I'm sorry. Like, I'm never going to be of the opinion that we are fine without Julius and our center rotation stays the same. Like, that's just not something I see at all.
Yeah, that's fair. You'd have to upgrade the 5. I think if you upgraded the 5, then I think it's more of a conversation.
Look, at at the end of the day, I don't
Is
think
Jared
they're
Allen that good at 5 out though? That's part of it. Like Jared
I
Allen would
think-
be a great center, but he's not great at defending 5 out, is he?
I don't think he's not the best at defending 5 out, but I think
He's
the
way
fact
more
that
mobile than Mitch. He's,
Yeah,
he's
the
more
fact that-
mobile than Hartenstein probably. in
like the
space.
fact that he's mobile and the fact that
I
like
mean,
offensively you could like legitimately have him like do things as a short roll passer, like that's what is the appeal of Jared Allen. And now like his contract for the next 5 years. So
I think still your better bet, to Schwinn's point kind of, is we here's the thing. The Mikal trade does not look like an overpay to me. And this is, even if it's an overpay, I think it'd be a good trade for us. I know that can sound like a paradox or whatever, but it's a good trade for us if it makes us better in the next 2-3 years. If we have to eat maybe a higher draft pick 2031, we're a little bit constrained, fine. But if it makes us a better team because we turned Bogdanovich into Bridges, that's fine. The thing that makes it like a win trade is if Bridges unlocks Randle at the 5.
This is my where I just this is what you have to bet on. Like you cannot create this team and
Would you fire Tibbs if he doesn't?
they're not going to fire Tibbs.
They're not going to fire him, but I think if he literally does not try Randle at the 5 at any point this season, that's a huge issue. Like I'm not saying you can try it. Like if he tries it and it sucks,
Okay.
fine, great.
And the trade was a loser. At that point, I would say fine. The trade wasn't as good as we thought. But
And that's
Yeah.
why it's like if he can't play if he credibly cannot play the 5, then like that for him, then I'm not paying him.
well, it's also that would also be damning on OG and Mikal. I think part of the reason I think this would work is OG would play the 5 on defense. Really, I think you'd agree with that. He would be the rim protector.
I would agree with that. I don't know that if that doesn't work, it's necessarily damning on either of those guys. I think
It would be more Randall because like
Yeah.
if you have no positional versatility with Randall and you're about to be 30 and you want all this money, like then you just are like a horrible fit for this team and they need to.
But you can't let him walk for nothing, right?
I mean at that point, shit, you'll have to Emily.
I mean,
That would be a big blow because you lose a big asset. We don't have assets to spare. We have Deuce McBride and no really other young.
Why would he walk for nothing?
I don't think he'd walk for anything. Like where's he gonna go?
I think he would just end up staying, and he'd probably just take whatever contract the Knicks were willing to give him. Obviously, he's not going to take like a minimum.
So why wouldn't he take 3 for $100 like Bobby?
Because he's in his head right now. He's like, what the fuck? Like I'm worth more than this, and I'm going to prove it. And if you're
he's already taken less before.
No, he hasn't taken less. He took guaranteed money.
The first extension.
No.
Okay, the first extension he took. He was a 0-time All-Star who had.
But if he waited, there's a good argument. Well, he ended up shitting the bed the next season.
Right, exactly. So he wouldn't have been in the team.
He didn't expect to do that though, Tyrese.
Yeah, but that's
he expected probably to be all dead again.
Yeah, but if you're him, if you're gonna be like, okay, well, they paid OG all this money in his head, he's better than OG, so I should at least get in that. I should be in that ballpark, if not above that.
Yeah,
right?
I should get like 4.
I mean, if you're an ego-driven person, but to Tyrese's point, if you are a kind of, risk-driven person, you would say, hey, I took more money before I shit the bed the next year, and it worked out.
Yeah,
at 30, there is a decent chance
he's not taking less. He's not taking less money a year than Emmanuel Quickly, dude. Like we don't need to debate this.
Emmanuel Quickly's 23.
Dude, he's not taking. Okay, he's not taking less money.
Be fucking serious, dude. Are you like be real? Be real. Do you really think that if Leon Rose calls him up today, right, and isn't like, oh, he's not beating around the bush. He's like,
well, that would have been done already.
Yeah, if he was like, I'll offer you 3 years, $100 million. You know what's gonna happen? Julius Randle is gonna tell him to fucking fuck off. Like that would be insulting in his opinion. If I were Julius Randle and in his shoes, I would be like, that's insulting. Like
But if you think he's just going to sign for less here next year anyway,
if
you're arguing that he doesn't have the foresight and his ego is clouding that.
If he fails, then I think he would accept a lesser offer because the market would be dry for him. If he is not,
what does if he fails mean?
If he's not great in the playoffs, or he's not a great
all NBA in the regular season
or whatever, like he's going to he would take less to stay with the Knicks, and I don't even think it would be considered necessarily staying less because I don't think he would have a huge market. Like there's not going to be a bunch of teams like
he barely has a market now.
Yeah. So if you're
legendary hating here.
If you're the Knicks,
I'm not even like hating. I'm just like I'm being serious.
It's real. If you're the Knicks, you might in your head be like, we would do 3 years, 100 million. But I promise you, Leon Rose knows that if he called up Julius Randle and said, hey, we'll offer you 3 years and 100 million, that Julius Randle will feel that and view that as an insult. So you cannot
You think
offer
it'd be
that.
4 for 180 as an insult?
No, I think he would be like, well, that's the most money I can give you. So he'd be like, okay, maybe I think he would take that, honestly, if they gave it to him.
Yeah.
But
Do you
if
think you would do that?
No.
But if the Knicks, like, so if you know you're going to insult him with that offer, you can't make that offer. And that's fine. But then what you have to do is like, hey, we really like you, blah, 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 blah. We just need to see how this plays out for the year, and we'll revisit this next summer and like whatever. That's it. That's all you got. Because you cannot actually make the offer that is insulting. Because that's worse than just being like, hey, we really value you, blah, 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 blah. And even in his agent might be like, hey, look, if you wait next summer, now you're eligible for a 35% max. I think we should play this out. The upside for you is there on this next contract. Like, it's not unreasonable for both of these parties to basically come to a conclusion of like, let's just
wait and see.
Let's just wait. Like, I think that's what they're going to do, because I don't see the trade that's out there. I don't see the Knicks giving him a $481 million extension. I don't see Randle agreeing to an extension that the Knicks would give him or would be happy to give him. And the upside of this team, I think, still is worth exploring with Julius Randle. Because
do you think you would be offended by the fact they didn't give him an extension and have that faith in him? Because each side is making a different bet, right? One side is saying, we need to see more. He's saying, I believe I can show more, and I think I have. Do you think that even if you wait and see, does that damage the relationship?
I don't know, because like the fact that Brunson, like they gave Brunson the extension as soon as he was eligible.
OG.
They
extended RJ fucking Barrett.
Yeah, but if okay, so is Randle going to take 4 years, $107.5 million?
No, but like also we're already hearing about
way better.
I think the thing is like the fact that we're already hearing about Bridges talking about extension is like nuts to me. Like,
but it's not, because those guys.
Is that a bridge to cross too soon?
Okay.
I just think the fact that like again, like
he's in a different position though, and like the Nova guys all want to fucking like sit around a campfire and fucking make s'mores.
Okay, so then you're basically saying that there's like
Smoke
it's
blunts.
the Nova guys, there's OG who like exist in like Leon Rose's like special fucking yeah, like he exists as like Leon Rose's special fucking like shrine, and then it's like Julius Randle where it's like,
No, but the difference is like OG. I mean, the Knicks clearly would have given him his max extension, right? They were like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
If he would have agreed to it, they would have 100% done it.
And then he like lasted them. He was like,
yeah, but they didn't give him what they gave him until he obviously entered unrestricted free agency.
Well, he never entered unrestricted free agency, technically.
Okay, great.
He somehow had offers on the table that were not supposed to be on the table yet.
All right.
But
we're good? Or you got that out of the system?
Yeah, I did.
All right. And in Brunson's case, like, yes, they gave him a max extension as soon as it was available to him. That extension, we also know, is like below market for what he's worth in a world where he could have entered free agency, right? He would have gotten more than that. If Julius Randle was willing to take a 4-year, $156 million extension, I'm pretty confident the Knicks would give that to him. I'm pretty sure they would. I think they would give that to him.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
but he's not going to, because he's going to be like, well, why don't you just give me the fucking max here?
Yeah, because it's like it's $20 million more. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and so for them, they're going to be like, and this is why I don't think that you can make an offer. Actually, you kind of just have to be like, yeah, we really like you, but there's a lot to weigh, and
it's either all or nothing.
Yeah, so they just have to play nice, and I think he understands. Look, the Knicks have done right by Julius in a lot of ways. Okay, they gave him a max extension as soon as they could the first time around. They put up with his fucking whatever that 2021-22 season was. They have made his life consistently easier by acquiring talent that is better.
They
suited
built
around
around the last 5 years.
Yeah, like they've done right by him. So I don't think this is a situation where if you're like, hey, let's play this out, but like I don't think that's necessarily some insulting thing. And also, what you can say is like, hey, look, like this is what we can do right now. Like, what did Drew Holiday end up extending for? It was like 130,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like you can maybe you're like, hey, look, if you ever want, we're gonna leave 156. If you want that, that's on the table for you right now. Okay, and that'll be there until training camp starts. Once the season starts, we don't want to talk about this, and you probably don't want to talk about this. If at some point in the season you're more open or receptive to an extension, we can revisit that. That's your call. But our focus is this season. You're part of the team. We value you. Blah blah blah. Like that's where I think this ends up. I also still will say, like, the fact that he's in China doing all this shit for Skechers, I don't know how everything works in the NBA. I'm sure that they talked to Julius Randle about a possible extension prior to August 3rd. Okay. I don't think it's crazy if this is something that Julius was like, hey, I don't want to talk about this right now. We'll talk about this when I get back. That's not crazy. Like that happens all the time in business. That happens.
Are you saying he needs to get ready to learn Chinese, buddy?
Yes.
Okay. But like I
don't think that's crazy. Like if he's back in New York in a week and then he just and we don't hear anything, then I'm 100% sold like, okay, they're just going to play it out. But right now, I actually still think like I don't think not knowing anything or not hearing anything right now is that crazy. I have no idea what the hell his travel's got. He's been traveling all summer too. This is the other thing. He's been like fucking Italy and he's gone all over the place. Like, it's not crazy to just be like, we'll deal with it. This happens all the time in like soccer, by the way. Like guys will just be like, nah, I'm on vacation. I don't want to talk about this right now. Do it when I get back. Like, it's not that. Think about it. When you're on vacation, you're not like, hey, let me negotiate a contract. You're just like, yeah, dude, we'll deal with it when I get back. And at this point, it doesn't really matter, right? Because if he does extend, he's going to be ineligible to be traded this season anyway. And if not, it doesn't change anything for him, right? Like, okay, well, if I don't extend, then I already know what I'm making and what's happening this season. I don't think it's that crazy. I really don't. I think it's totally reasonable that this is just not something that they have revisited since initial conversations because he's away. I think when you get to training camp, assuming he's still on the roster then, which I think will be the case, that's when I think that you could see more movement on this.
I get what you're saying. I do. I don't think that his China trip is as impactful as you're saying because like they had free agency started in June? Free agency started June. They could have discussed this at any point because there's no legality regarding like discussions about extensions, stuff like that. So like I feel like they basically have known like what each other's price point is for like a good bit. So I don't.
I mean, they could, for all I know, they could have. For all we know, they could have a standing offer to him that's not the max, or it is the max, whatever. And he's taking his time to figure out what he wants to do. That's like not crazy at all.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm like. I feel like they have an offer for him. He just doesn't want to take it, and that's where like discussion because like they're saying it's not at the forefront. So like they basically probably have like line in the sand, and nobody's willing to compromise right now.
Yeah, which is again, I don't think that's again. I don't see that. I don't see that as an adversarial thing, because I am assuming that his relationship with Leon Rose and Roll Wild West,
and he also went back to CAA.
Yeah, so, like I assume his relationship with these guys is still pretty fucking good.
Yeah, is his agent Sam Rose?
No, his agent is
Aaron Mintz.
Yeah, Aaron Mintz. Yeah, I don't know. Look, the Randall thing is there's nothing else to really like. There's nothing to do. Like it just he'll either extend or he won't, and
they'll play out the season.
I think they're gonna end up playing out the season. That's what I think. Maybe that changes. Maybe he comes to training camp and he's like, "Wow, this is awesome. I feel like I'm part of Villanova now, and I want to take a discount to stay here forever."
He's like, I'm a Wildcat too.
He is.
He
That's
is.
true.
Oh yeah, he is one.
Oh, that's the joke, isn't it, Tyrese?
Yeah,
I don't think
for sure.
Tyrese. No, I don't think
No,
Tyrese.
Kentucky
Yeah, he
Wildcats. I'm aware.
No, I don't. I think you stumbled into that joke.
No, I'm aware. I'm also
know.
aware about High School Musical Wildcats. Okay, like there are a bunch of Wildcats out
I
here.
wasn't actually.
Well,
So.
there are a bunch of Wildcats out here.
I do follow Business Legends on Instagram for that.
So moving on from Julius Randle and the Knicks, which I can't believe we talked about that for 80 minutes. Good job, us.
We come from a culture that makes very simple stories last 3.5 hours. Shwin,
That's
so
true.
I don't think we should be.
One of our great strengths as a culture. Lauri Markkanen extended. He got a 4 years, $220 million extension. Is that right?
Bomba Clod. What the fuck?
What?
No, $220 million for Lauri Markkanen.
It's that's the renegotiate and extend number though, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that is, which is still nuts.
It's
like
nuts,
Scandinavian socialism.
Yeah.
God damn.
I don't actually understand what Utah is doing. Like, and I don't know. I think this is
What's
weird.
going on in Utah?
I just think it's weird. I think it's all very weird. I get why he took the contract because $220 million. Like, all right, cool. Where do I sign up? I don't know. I don't really get what they're doing. I also guess maybe they didn't like the offer. I mean, they must not have liked the offers that they got put in front of them. Shout out to Leon Rose for ruining the Lauri Markkanen trade market, I guess. I think he broke Ainge's brain because Ainge is like, no, he's better than Mikal. I have to get more than that. And I almost feel like he rage extended Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he honestly wanted to trade Lauri Markkanen, but then like after the Knicks did that move, he's like, fuck Leon Rose, dude. Like I can't get value for him because nobody's gonna beat that price.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at, is it an unfair value? He's 26, right?
He's 27.
20. Okay. Oh, sorry.
I mean, I don't. It's one.
It's a very good deal for a guy who probably deserves a look. If you're 7 feet tall, you can shoot threes and create a little bit off the dribble and shoot movement.
No,
threes,
okay.
You're not a sieve on, and you're like not a sieve on defense.
He cannot create off the dribble.
Being a decent defender,
Yeah, you can't really create off the dribble. He can create on the move.
He can. Okay, he's not stationary, right? He can attack,
moves a lot.
close out. He's a movement shooter. He can finish. He's versatile. Even if he's not a creator, if you know what creator was the word, and he's like a decent defender who played the three on defense. On a good team. Okay, well, if you think he's a bad defender, that changes things.
I think he's a defender who he can be in your 5 and you're not going to be an offensive defensive team, but you got to have actual good defenders.
Is he a better defender than anyone we talked about for the first 80 minutes of this pod?
I don't think so.
Very strong. Yes.
I think I know. I think Julius is better defender than him.
Yeah, I think Julius when he cares is a better. When Julius cares,
that's
clearly
a big qualifier.
Yeah, but Lauri Markkanen doesn't care on defense either. So I don't know why that.
He's longer. Pause and and he's played. He was effective at the 3 in Cleveland. Like that still matters
because he played with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley.
That matters, but also like his on-off in Utah, I think isn't that bad. He gets to play with Kessler. That's fine.
Offensive. That's offensive stuff that he's doing.
I don't think his defense is bad.
I think his defense is bad.
He also had like Walker Kessler year 1, and
Walker
Kessler year 1 was like insane.
But I think look at how Davis Bertans got paid. Look at how Brook Lopez has Brook Lopez is a very limited player.
Yeah, but Brook Lopez is actually an elite defender.
Brook Lopez was second in DPOY voting.
That I do disagree with. Actually,
I don't know how you disagree with that.
I think Brook Lopez benefits a lot from playing next to Giannis.
Yes, but he's still
good at he gets a very specific role that he's good at.
Giannis benefits playing next to him also on defense.
It's a very it works for both.
Well, I think there's a reason why both of them looked a lot worse last year.
Because they're old,
and also because one of their teammates went on holiday. Yeah. Heyo. But
I mean, Brook is like 30, whatever. He's
35.
And one of their teammates went on holiday because they had a teammate named Drew Holiday. He's a good defender.
But Brook Lopez was clearly a good defender at one point in time. Lauri Markkanen,
he's a solid defender, but
Lauri Markkanen,
you're talking about second in the league in DPOI. That's where I'm like,
no. But what I am talking about is you cannot compare Lauri Markkanen's value to Brook Lopez because Brook Lopez was never paid at that level. He got paid very good money for what he was, which is a solid two-way center who gave them shooting at a position that they needed it because
But
Giannis
there's a lot of
exists.
good two-way centers. The fact that he could shoot and he can't even move and shoot, right? Like that,
Yes.
that at 7 feet tall is extremely valuable. And he does have the ability to switch a little bit. He's probably not the best rim protector. But
He's a
he's
bad
certainly, I think he's more viable than a guy like Julius.
He's
And
not.
he's more offensively
What
versatile.
is this based on? Like, what is this based on that
Because
he is a better defensive?
I've seen him be a positive part of good defense.
I've seen
Julius
Julius do that.
Julius has been a negative on defense, though. Right?
So
I think
has Lauri.
In
Lauri has been
Cleveland,
a
Lauri
bad-
was not a negative. They were better with him on the floor.
But he had good defenders around him. That's the point we're
and
making.
Julius had good defenders around him. He gets played with Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein
he was right,
and
and
OG
he was good on
and
defense
Hart
then.
and,
Yeah, he
and
was-
Alfred
but he was-
Payton.
Okay.
And he was good on defense.
But
then.
in Quickly and like who is one of the best.
You're literally making the argument for us right now.
I've seen
like,
that Randall has
it's
played
like a
with
force
really good
multiplier.
defenders.
Yeah, and when Randall gets really good defense around him, he usually holds up defensively.
No, they are usually worse with him on the floor defensively.
Okay, yeah, because like usually the guy that replaces Randall in those lineups is a better defender than Randall is himself. But
Obi sucks. That's fair, but Obi sucks. So like, I think Lauri, okay, even if you don't believe that, I think Markkanen is the least passable, and his skill set is very, very valuable.
Yes.
7 feet tall with movement shooting is just that is the way the league is going now. I don't think that's going to look like a bad contract, no matter what.
It won't look like a bad contract, but it's also just like, why does?
And I also think that it's also the kind of contract for the same reasons we struggle to find a team that will trade for Randall. There will absolutely be contenders on a team that be like most contenders, by the way, have their rim protection solved. They have good defenders. So they're like, we can add a stretch four who can look decent. A real stretch four, by the way, not
by the way,
Randall is.
Lauri Markkanen, his 1 year that he played in Cleveland,
They were worse with him? Okay,
they had a 112.2 defensive rating when he was on the floor. There was a 108.3 defensive rating when he was off the floor. Lauri Markkanen, not a good defender, has never shown he's a good defender. I firmly reject the idea that he's any way better than Julius Randle on defense. And I would argue that Julius, when he actually does care, has shown that he can hit a level on defense that Lauri Markkanen will never and can never hit.
Again, I've seen Julius Randle slide his feet with Kyrie Irving and Trae Young in the playoff series. Like,
I've seen Julius Randle fucking lock up Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in the fourth quarter.
I've seen Donald Trump tell the truth. Doesn't mean it's going to happen very often.
I actually have never seen him.
Yeah, you've never seen.
Yeah,
that.
I've seen him tell the truth. He said, "My name is Donald Trump."
I still don't believe that.
Donald Trump Jr., isn't it?
Yeah.
They're the same person. No, I think that Markkanen, because of his size, and I have seen him, have success on defense quite a bit as well. It's in 2 years, if Utah does want to trade him, I think it'll be easier to trade him on that contract than it is to trade Randall now, or it will be if we extend Randall.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's just because
he can. Every team has. If you think Oklahoma City would rather have Hartenstein than him,
I'm surprised they didn't trade for him this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think
he would have solved all their issues.
And I think that'll still be the case in 2 years, especially when Hartenstein's a free agent, right?
I mean, they could probably just like
Miami. If Miami. I mean, I've been told that Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and a Poo Platter is extremely valuable. I'm sure they would have traded that for Markkanen. Like, he's gonna have trade value. Like, it's just a very, very valuable combination of skills that's rare right now.
Yeah, but what's the point of this guy on Utah?
Well, for that value, that I do think he'll have trade value.
He still had the value now. I don't think he got any better.
So you're saying, what's the point of extending him instead of letting it play out?
No,
I'm saying why did you just trade him now?
The offers might not have been there, right?
I mean,
the offers. I don't think the offers gonna get better in 2. I don't think the offers get better in 2 years.
Yeah, part of the reason.
I think part of the reason why the offers, the salary, because like people could match that salary more conveniently, but now it's like you're gonna take back bad salary, and
well, they might be more willing to take back bad salary if it gets them more picks.
They're more willing.
That's what Brooklyn did with us. Brooklyn,
but they're willing to take back bad salary now.
Brooklyn could have gotten better players than Bogdanovich, but they
I mean,
took
but it was
on
also like nobody was giving them 5 picks.
Well, but someone might have given them 2 picks and like a solid player.
But they don't
you
want
know,
players.
Houston.
They want picks.
That's the Utah might be in the same position, right? Where they don't care that if they
but
take
they
on
were
a
in
bad
that
salary.
position now, and this is a draft.
But there might not be good offers out there
But
now.
part of the value is one, they owe a top 10 protected pick this season. So I think they'll still be able to keep that with Lauri Markkanen. But like, so you're just punting on a year of this contract effectively to do that. Like you're just so now it's a 3-year contract.
2-year. No, it's a 4-year contract.
So you're saying that Ainge
or-
probably had a.
Yeah.
You're saying that you're conjecturing that Ainge had a better offer
No,
than this option.
I'm saying I don't understand. Like they're not. If they were good, forget it, they don't even need to be a contender. If they were just like good, I would be like, okay, I get it. Okay, you don't want to take a step back. You have all these picks still coming up. Cool, got it. You know, I don't really get it. I'm like, they have 6 guys.
Well, did you say the same thing when SGA got extended?
No, but SGA got extended on his rookie scale.
Yeah, and also like that they didn't owe any. If Utah didn't like,
I don't think owing the picks is as transformative a thing.
I think it's just like you have picks already, so like either you use your picks to go get somebody who's decent, or you trade Markkanen and you.
I don't
take
think it's
back
that
more
binary.
picks.
I don't think you trade value if you believe it's higher than what the market is saying.
The thing is, like, do you think it's
just
gonna be
because you
higher
have
in
to
2
pick a
years?
lane.
I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't think it's an unreasonable bet to make, or a year from now, right? There's going to be more movement. I mean, this is part of the reason the Knicks made the Bridges trade. There just aren't.
But we know
players.
that Bridges can actually function in the playoffs.
The whole point of the Bridges trade, though, was like the fact that it let them duck the apron for 2 years. Like Markkanen.
That wasn't the only point. It was also because there's no star trade available. Donovan Mitchell ain't coming.
But the contract is part of the contract. Because you're like, okay, well, we have this guy cheap money, so we're not going to be in danger of.
What I'm answering is Tyrese asked, if you're going to keep Markkanen, why not use the picks to actually get someone, right? And I'm saying that guy isn't out there, but also that doesn't mean you can just trade Markkanen.
Well, they tried.
I don't think it's the right binary.
They tried to trade for Mikal.
They tried to, and they couldn't get Mikal.
What was the offer?
Why we don't know, but apparently they were really
right there. They were right there,
allegedly.
What was it?
So, like, I think
Walker
like they wanted
Kessler?
to get good, but then they couldn't get good, and they were like, "Well, shit. Well, we have Markkanen." It's like.
I don't think dumping Markkanen solves like the things that you guys.
You're not dumping him.
You're
honestly, I think like if Golden State,
it depends what was out there.
If Golden State was willing to give, apparently the reporting is they were willing to give up their picks, 1st-round picks, swaps, 2nd-round picks. I would have done that because I think Golden State.
What was the
back end? Yeah, the back end of this decade, they're gonna be terrible.
Was it Draymond or?
No, it was like Moody.
Like, Kuminga, Moody, whatever.
No, it was just. I think it was just Moody.
Whatever it was, they had the salary to make it happen. Probably Payne. It's probably Gary Payne.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ainge wanted pods, right?
Yeah, he wanted pods, which I don't fucking understand. But like,
I don't know what pods is like the Grimes of the summer, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, why would Utah like pods?
Because he's cheap
and
he's
white.
He's what?
He's cheap and white. White.
Correct.
Why would Utah want that? You got to keep it.
But I will say, like, if it really, I mean, I don't fully trust the reporting here that like. Golden State just said no to Podziemski in any scenario. We all know how Ainge is.
It's probably like the Grimes thing. To your point,
it was probably the Grimes thing. But like, if Podziemski was seriously like this, like, we can't do that. The Warriors need to go they need to fuck off. Like that's
just like if I'm.
Do you think
Steph,
they're currying any favor from their star?
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is me every week, Tyrese.
Oh my god, dude. I thought I was bad. Holy shit.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. I'm just like, god damn. But no, but like if I'm Steph, like, why the fuck do I want to be in this team anymore? They're not serious.
He should be a Knick.
No, he shouldn't. But like he should like play with Braun. Just go play with Braun.
And his son.
Exactly. Like Braun, Bronny, and Steph Curry. Like, give me that.
Ed and Eddie, Braun, Bronny, and stuff.
And then like Anthony Davis. Like, give me entertainment if you're just gonna waste the back half of Steph's career.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just don't get anything. Like they've just done nothing for the last 3 years. They're so lucky Steph got them that 2022 championship. They did basically nothing to deserve it other than.
And they basically said that they didn't want to. They didn't want to win it.
Yeah, they basically did. And there was a quote today where they said something like they really had fun with all the financial flexibility they had now. It's like, are you fucking serious? It was fun.
They just don't want to spend money.
Has anyone from San Francisco said that in the last 10 or 15 years? People like Joe Lacob, maybe? I think that's kind of a common theme. We just had all this money. We want to have some fun, right?
They're not the same animal about winning. And that's kind of sad.
They're just unserious. They're not serious. They don't care, and they're not trying. Like, I'm sorry, getting Hield, Kyle Anderson, and DeAnthony Melton, that's not trying. That's like, hey, we have Steph, but we don't really want to compete, but we don't really want to bottom out. So we'll get these guys because they're like better than.
It's kind of what the Lakers have been doing. It's like we have a great player, a legendary player. We can't restart or trade him, so we're giving it the old college try.
So the difference to me though is the Lakers actually did give up everything at one point to go get Anthony Davis. They actually did it.
That was like a long time ago.
Yeah, but like they did it again for Russell Westbrook, and that's what kind of killed them. But like,
yeah,
and then even still, like they tried again. Like they traded Russ, and they got like a bunch of pieces, and they tried to make it work, and then they went to the Western Conference Finals. Like they have, like the Lakers have tried. They haven't tried as aggressively as I think they probably should with LeBron, but like they've tried.
The Warriors have not tried. The Warriors literally salary dumped fucking Jordan Poole. That was their big move last summer.
Yeah, like I don't think the Warriors have made like a player. When was the last time like? I think the thing like the Warriors haven't made like player trades. They haven't been doing player like they traded for Gary Payton Jr. and they traded away Wiseman and then they dumped Poole and that was
they also make no sense. Like they're like they we really love Moody, but we will never play him and we're not even going to clear a rotation. Like where is he playing this year? They paid DeAnthony Melton. They paid Buddy Hield. They apparently Kuminga is obviously a higher priority for them. Like where are his minutes coming from?
Out, right?
They'll come in New York when we trade for Moses.
Yeah, Pajemski is obviously more valuable to them than Moody. Steph exists. Like I don't really understand who's
playing the three for them though.
The three for them, Wiggins.
Yeah, Wiggins.
That's right.
A real winner right there. And then they have.
He's a Tibbs guy. Come on.
Well, even with Kuminga, like, I mean, what are we? Is he even going to start? Do we know? Because he didn't even start at the last. But he probably is. But it's like. They did that for a little bit last year, and they were like, actually, you know what? Fuck starting this guy. We'll just put him back on the bench. And it's like, there's no like clear path to anything they're doing. It's just all very haphazard. And I mean, honestly, like, forget Clay, like, fuck him and all that shit. But I think it's a bad look when you're just like, oh yeah, we're just letting this guy walk. It's fine.
But we get back some seconds though. Like
it's unserious. It's unserious stuff.
Yeah, I mean the Warriors have been largely unserious for the last 3 years. So I just like there's no uniform decision making to what they're doing. It's like they were gonna divide they weren't gonna keep Kevon Looney, then they kept Kevon Looney, and now it's like the thing is like what the fuck is Kevon Looney gonna do? Because realistically Draymond's starting at the 5 for this team. And then they have Trace Jackson Davis, and then like Kevon Looney's gonna be like your third string center. You're paying $8 million to. I don't know what they want to do with their team because like they don't have any wings. Like Kyle Anderson is a center at this point in his career. Like he's just not somebody who's agile anymore, and he can't shoot. You have like DeAnthony Melton, who's bad back and 6'2". You have Buddy Hield, who's short, can't play defense, but like I guess he's your bucket getter off the bench. Like they don't make any sense.
Yeah, they're gonna compete.
Yeah, and this is also why, like, just to go back to Utah, this is their roster right now. Okay, Sexton, Keontae George, Bryce Sensabaugh. They have Taylor Hendricks, who they drafted in the lottery last year. John Collins, Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Johnny Juzang, Micah Potter. Like,
this is the ball don't stop Hall of Famers, bro.
Like,
they like 4 or 5 ISO only guys.
But then they have what 2 firsts in next year's draft.
And they also want to like trade their guys. Like they want to trade John Collins and Colin Sexton and
Yeah, but
Jordan Clarkson.
that's Ainge.
Oh, wait,
being-
they have 3 firsts in next year's draft if they keep their own. So they're adding more rookies to this team potentially. Like it's all well and good to just be like, we need to make a consolidation trade. We need to make a consolidation trade. It's, you know how many teams need to make a fucking consolidation trade in the NBA? Utah does, Houston does, Orlando does. Like they're not alone. And I don't know what star player potentially who might hit the market would be out there. And it's fine to just be like, well, teams will just trade them to whatever place gives them the most value. That's just never how it works. That's never how it works. Like what star player is like, oh man, if I can just go to Utah and play with Lauri Markkanen, we're good to
Julius
go.
Randle.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Julius
we're-
would probably retire if we traded him to Utah.
Dude, Kendra would fucking shit on Leon Rose. They get to live here and
Do you want to make Kyden cry? Because that's how you make Kyden cry.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go from New York to Utah.
Oh, and I
imagine he has to go from hooping every day to skiing.
there's
and
other guys
fucking-
though too. They drafted Cody Williams in the lottery this year. They still have Jordan Clarkson. They drafted Isaiah Collier in the first round. Like, what is
Yeah,
this
Collier.
team?
Yeah, they have
What-
Collier.
This team is just like
A mess. They're a
Yeah.
mess.
And now they kept Lauri, which like I will say like it's not stupid on its face to keep Lauri, but you have to actually like
Make
try
moves.
to win at some point with him. And I just
But
don't know.
a lot of people, I think you have to pick a lane, and it's all that. Like people said the same thing about the Knicks last year. The difference is they were getting linearly better, which the Jazz
right,
are
but that's
not.
why it was.
But
stupid
from a
to get out of
value perspective, I don't think you can like poo-poo any of these deals unless you say there's an opportunity cost from like not making a trade with Lowry or
I mean,
something.
I think there's an
Like, from
opportunity.
a value
cost.
perspective, they have a lot of assets, and they're
Well, think of
waiting
it this
to
way.
they're
Is
they're
Taylor
waiting to
Hendrick-
spend those. So
How-
they're waiting
how
to
much
spend them.
How much is Taylor Hendricks going to play next year?
I like whatever his total minutes of the year. I'll look it up real quick. Like, because I will whatever his total minutes of the year were.
I hope they're more than Toby Toppin. That would make me feel good.
He played 856 minutes last year.
Yeah, but he's a rookie. I mean, there's rookies under
Yeah,
tips.
but he was a 9th overall pick on a bad team.
I think like Maxi. Well, Maxi was not the 9th overall pick, but like he didn't
And
play
they
at
were-
all as a
they-
rookie.
They were good though, so it's different. Like if you're good, then I can understand. Like, well, we're not just giving out minutes here, okay? But you're not good, and you don't want to be good this year in all likelihood because you have a top 10 protected pick. So you're just burning.
Kevin
through-
Knox averaged 29 minutes a game. Jesus,
That
I'm
was-
glad we don't do that anymore.
That was a season, and we still didn't get the number 1 pick that year. Awesome.
Plus, they have like Walker Kessler, who like doesn't want to be there, and like
That is a weird
understand-
situation. That is a really weird situation because he's good. But when he plays-
Everything they've done since the Gobert and
it's
Right?
JD Vance as fuck. It's weird.
Yeah. It's
Like, they want to be 5 out. They want to play 5 out. Like,
I want it to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
You can't always get what you want.
okay, but like Taylor Hendricks is like a 4-5 who in theory can shoot. They want to play 5 out. John Collins, like he's a whack 5, but he's still a 5 who can shoot. It's just they want to have spacing and they want to be able to shoot, and they don't really want Kessler, and I doubt they're gonna fucking pay him. So I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
And
I
still have-
really-
Sexton's still in his team. Which like that's fine. Sexton's a solid player.
Like
but it's
again, like if you want Sexton, just gotta be your bench guard. But like they also extended Jordan Clarkson like a year ago, which made no sense at the time. I don't know what they want, and like Jordan Clarkson isn't going anywhere, and he's probably gonna have to play because like you have to try to get his value up. So like Isaiah Collier is not playing. Bryce Sensabaugh barely played last year, and now
And
they
what-
had Cody Williams, and like Keontae George is like a thing for them. Like I didn't even talk about Keontae George. Like
And what evidence do we even have that Danny Ainge is going to make a consolidation trade? By the way, remember
He
when he was
never
in
does.
Boston? Yeah, with Boston, he did the same fucking thing. Oh, they're going to have all these young guys. It's going to be a dynasty forever. Fucking, if he was still running the Celtics, they would have probably been like a first-round exit for the next 3 years. But he'd have been like, yeah, but we kept all our picks.
You don't think he makes the Porzingis trade or the?
I don't think he makes any of
No.
these trades.
I think
he
Smart's
definitely
on the team.
he definitely wouldn't have salary dumped fucking Kemba Walker at the expense of a first-round pick. No shot. No shot he does that trade. There's no shot he does that trade. There's no shot he does the Derek White trade. There's no shot. Like, he doesn't do any of these trades. He would not have done any of these key trades they made, which has ultimately resulted in them winning a championship, unfortunately. Like, I don't know. Like he's very good at this tear down, get asset stuff. But as far as like actual team building, I mean, even when they won the championship back in the day, that was literally
Kevin
the most.
McHale.
That was the most fortunate bullshit ever. Like it is so unbelievably lucky how they stumbled into that. Even when he blew up the team, that Brooklyn trade was like it just fell in his lap. He didn't want to even blow up that team initially. They had extended all those guys the year before to 3-year contracts.
Can you say that about most good GM moves? Like, didn't Brunson fall in Leon Rose's lap because Cuban's an idiot?
Okay, but like, did anybody expect Jalen Brunson to be top 10 engine in the league? No,
I did.
And the
Knicks,
Knicks also aggressively
yeah,
pursued him. So it's a different thing.
And I was also on the island before anybody else.
I guess my point is that like all the greatest moves are results from some way of someone fucking up, right? Like Sam Bowie, did Michael Jordan fall in the Bulls' lap because somebody thought Sam Bowie was better?
No, but there's a difference between
there's like every you can make that about just about every move though, right?
There's a difference between that and getting gifted Kevin Garnett. That's a very different thing. That like okay, the Bulls got lucky that Michael Jordan fell to them at 3, but like they had the 3rd pick, so that's always
and we had cap space for Brunson. But I think you make this case for a lot more.
We made cap space for Brunson. We dumped a bunch of bad contracts and traded a lotto pick.
But even having that option, like a lot of these moves we give GMs credit for, probably more than we think, where there was a good amount of luck in those, right? So.
Yeah, you need luck, but like honestly,
you can say Danny Ainge is overrated and gets too much credit for being a pure skill guy.
He's 100%. He's the most overrated GM in basketball. And
Morey, but
he's more overrated than Morey.
Morey at least goes for it,
and he gets criticized. He does get criticized now. So I don't agree. Yeah, Morey does go for it. No, I think what happened is he was close to trading Paul Pierce back then, but then he didn't. Then he made this trade for Ray Allen before he ever knew that the Garnett thing was going to happen, and the Garnett thing fell in his lap, and okay, wow, that worked out. But like, I think that's why he extended Lauri Markkanen instead of just taking what he could get for him this offseason, because he's always, I think in his head, he's like, I can do that again. And personally, I think we're still underestimating how hard it's going to be to trade and acquire star players right now in this league. Like
there's the way money, it's really just going to money and like.
And then all this apron shit is weird. It makes the trade market way harder to negotiate.
Do you think he's worse without Mike Zarin? This is super in depth.
Yeah, that could be. That's very possible.
Because Zarin is still there. He was like the brains behind the operation.
And if you look at it, they went from being like the most risk averse type of front office at that time to now. I'm not even going to say they're like taking heavy risks, but they're putting chips.
Calculated risks.
Yeah, they're putting chips into the table that Ainge never would have. Ainge was sitting there. He didn't trade fucking. Do you remember he just like let Marcus Morris walk because he was like, well, I couldn't get anything at the trade deadline that I wanted, so I let him go.
He could have gotten Emmanuel quickly from Marcus Morris.
They
a
traded.
Smart team would do that.
They let fucking Terry Rozier's contract expire. They wasted so many first round picks.
They traded Terry Rozier for
they signed and trade, but they could have just signed Kemba outright. They just did Rozier solid. But like all those first round picks they had for years, they burned so many of those guys doing nothing. And that's why I don't understand why everybody's like, oh, well, this is fine. Like, I guarantee you we're going to look back at this roster. A bunch of these guys are going to amount to absolutely nothing, and they're never going to get a chance. Isaiah Collier was the 29th pick or some bullshit? Do you really think this guy's going to get a single fucking shot ever?
No, because they have Keontae George.
Yeah, and they still have Sexton, and they have to play Sexton.
And Clarkson. Clarkson will get minutes out of him too.
And they got to play both Sexton and Clarkson because they need to keep their trade value up. This is the game that he plays, and it's like
and then next year they're gonna have a bunch of picks, and like Collier's never gonna play minutes. Like Bryce Sensabaugh might as well be like drowning.
He might as well just fucking like retire for the next couple of years.
Perez is dying a little bit every time he hears about you guys just poo-pooing the value of his guys long term.
But honest, like if I'm like Bryce Sensabaugh and like Isaiah Collier, I'm like, well, at least like I guarantee money because I'm gonna be playing in like Huck Porty in like 4 years.
Also, for some reason, Lucas Samanis is on the roster. I have no idea why.
What?
Yeah,
sure he's not jazzed to be there. But
all right.
Didn't they also? I'm pretty sure they like gave Juzang a multi-year contract this summer too. Like,
something like that, dude. Like they also signed like was it Drew Eubanks?
Oh, that's right. They did do something.
He
Yeah, they
seems
did
like
do
a
that.
Utah guy.
Oh my god, bro! Like I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know what they're doing.
It's just like it could work. It just requires Ainge to do stuff that I don't have any reason.
He hasn't shown that track record to manage.
Yeah, Johnny
shit.
Juzang somehow signed like a 4-year, $12 million contract. Why?
It's
He's
almost as
making
good as
more than
Matt
Deuce
Butler's
McBride.
contract.
Yeah.
He's
No, Deuce got what 313.
Yeah, 3. Oh no, yeah, no.
oh sorry, Deuce is
Yeah.
making about $1 million more per year. Sorry.
Oh, it's a descending contract. The Deuce makes like 4.3 this year, whatever.
He'll make less than Juzang by the end of the contract.
Which is hilarious. Like Juzang, okay, for reference, like Juzang had like 20 games where he had like like 60 true shooting. So I guess they signed him, but like
Juzang also outplayed Franz Wagner in a playoff game. So
I also think that a lot of these guys, like this is a team, the offensive value of all these guys is so inflated by the way they run their offense. Like Will Hardy's clearly a good coach. I don't trust like half of the fucking offensive numbers you get on from players in their team at all.
including Lauri.
John Collins is a merchant.
Yeah, John Collins.
He's always been that, but
Markkanen,
Markkanen, I think, actually is good. We wanted him. There's a reason we wanted him.
Markkanen is actually good. I also think Markkanen does benefit from it, but he's also like more of a driving force. So there's some give and take there. But like, look, the Markkanen thing at the end of the day, I'm like,
If you were the Knicks and you could have paid him instead of Randle 4 for 220 or whatever he got, you would do that, right?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Then I think that if it's a fair contract and it's good value, like I get it from Utah.
It matters if you're actually going to pull the trigger in a trade. If you're going to sit there and be like, well, I want all the picks
that
they gave
that is
for
a little bit
Mikal
of projection. Right? I think if we're looking to move in isolation, that's where we're now pulling into. Ainge has a history of not being able to execute on this. Fine, but like they still have a lot of potentially good avenues to go down. I don't think they've limited themselves, unless you think there really was a great trade out there, which maybe there was. I don't know.
I don't think they limited themselves, but I also think they didn't put themselves in a position to like really benefit from signing him to this extension. Like they signed him to an extension, and my first thought was, okay, so like you're just going to trade him in 2 years, and you think it's going to get you more value, but it doesn't, and it just kind of just hurts your positioning for the lottery. So, like they're going to be like 7th or 8th bat. They're not going to be like 1st or 2nd bat.
Yeah, you can't be the worst team in the league if you have Lauri Markkanen. That's just not going to happen.
Like will they even be the worst team in the West? I don't think so.
No, fucking Portland.
Yeah, Portland's got that crowd.
Portland's they've got that on lock. Worst team in the West. That's
especially if they trade.
What if they trade for Jamal Murray?
If the Jazz trade for Jamal Murray?
No, Portland, because apparently you could trade Anthony Simons for Jamal Murray.
I don't know what Jamal Murray has done to earn this idea of like he's this amazing game-changing player who moves the needle for an awful team. Because when he doesn't get to play with Nikola Jokic, voila, the Nuggets are the worst team in the NBA when he's on the floor without Jokic. I don't know, man. I think Jamal Murray might just be a Jokic merchant.
What if he's just Emmanuel Quickly?
Emmanuel Quickly is better than him. So.
Ooh, now we're getting to the fun part.
Dude, when Emmanuel Quickly demos that team from what's his face, Scotty Barnes, I will be there.
You know, Tyrese hates Scotty Barnes because he went after him instead of RJ.
RJ doesn't fucking matter.
Quickly's gonna end up getting traded because that team is not gonna be good, and he makes money, so he'll get criticized, and they'll eventually trade him. I think he's like a Derek White down the line type of trade person. That's what I think.
Oh, I don't think he makes enough money to be a Derek White kind of trade person. That's the problem.
You think he makes?
Or he makes too much money, or like you gotta give him like some run as an all.
In like 2-3 years. Let's see where it's at. That's my prediction for him. Bring him back home. He can be our bench guard that leads us to the promised land. All right, we're good. Anything else we want to talk about? We're good out of here.
No, I don't hate Julius Randle. I'm just skeptical about the contract. That's it.
Your picture is Julius Randle and Kaiden.
I haven't changed his picture in like 4 years, dude.
Yeah, but that just proves to you that he doesn't hate Julius.
I don't hate Julius. I'm just like, I don't know how he fits in like a team that wants to win a championship. And I don't know how much I really want to pay him.
Well, hopefully we'll get some minutes with him at the 5 and see if that's a thing. I'm sure Tibbs will do it. I trust him so much.
Yeah.
No, but it is a serious conversation that needs to be had if he doesn't. Like,
if he
firing,
doesn't,
maybe not, but like that is a big lever they have, and it's one they've bet on, indirectly or directly, whatever.
He also has like more of a reason to do it because even if you look, if Mitch is going to miss time, that's just going to happen.
Jericho Sims is not a good
Jericho
player.
Sims.
I've seen the workout videos that I might be a believer.
Oh my
kidding.
God.
I'm kidding.
Jesus,
There's
Tyrese,
actually a
come on.
YouTube.
You need to
there's
be
actually-
wary of misinformation in an election year. Come on, dude.
There's
kidding.
actually a YouTube video that's like Jericho Sims is becoming a monster or something that I saw on my YouTube the other day.
I saw a video of Mitch doing sham gods and shooting 3-pointers every offseason until now. So he still shoots 40% from the free throw line.
I will be very appreciative of Mitch this year. I do not think that he will be a Knick beyond this season.
Yeah, agree.
But you think he'll be our past trade deadline, I imagine, right?
Maybe.
Depends on if they get a center.
Yeah, it depends on the center market. We'll see. All right. Tyrese, let the people know where they can find you and plug anything that you'd like to plug.
You can find me at _ Zach Blatter on Twitter. I love graphic design and I work for Tops now, which is great. So yeah, follow me. I totally look like that in real life.
Also, Tyrese is white, so
yeah. Don't read my Twitter.
All right, awesome. Thanks for coming on, Tyrese /Zach. Stacy, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Well, I'm editor and chief of the Strickland. My name is Alex Wolf. No, nothing to plug. A lot of great content on the Strickland, all the work we're doing there. I'll make a stump for, I think, I'll say this. I don't know if Mitch will be on the roster past the trade deadline. I think Precious Achua will be the starting 5 by the end of the season. That's my hot take for today.
Wow. Okay. I like it. I'm getting spicy.
My hot take is Mikal Bridges will miss his first game this year.
Yeah. All right. I have nothing to plug, so
give us a hot take.
No.
Nice haircut, Shwin, by the way. You got the cropped up sides.
Thanks. It's summer. I needed to get rid of all the hair I have. Whatever's left of it.
Yeah, it's still gray, so
only the beard. Only the beard.
Only 49 shades, so
yes. All right. I've nothing.
You're not Braun.
Yeah. I have nothing to plug, so I will echo what Stacy said, all the wonderful work at the Strickland, and yeah, I think that's it. All right, great, wonderful. All right, I will see everybody on Tuesday. Thank you to our sponsor, or on Friday. Sorry, Jesus. Thank you to our sponsor, Bet Online. That is our show. Peace.